Hello, hello, hello. You're with Marc Adams at Next Level Business Advisors. And today we are joined by, is that right? I always do this wrong. Joined by, whatever works for your English. Vanessa Emerson. How you doing? I
All
am so
right.
sorry I
Thanks
could
for
not get
having
my grammar correct.
me. No judgment here. I wouldn't know.
Nice to have you. Vanessa Emerson is with the company, The Dental Speaker. And that's pretty impressive. Behind her, you see the Dental Speaker Institute. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit too, right?
Hopefully.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, like, I want to just jump into it because I tend to ramble, and that's not why people listen. Let's talk about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Sure. For over 2 decades now, I have been helping dental speakers and consultants grow their businesses in a variety of ways. I actually came out of general surgery. My doctor retired. I used to hold a laparoscope in the OR. I mean, it was fun, and helped run his office in a little regional medical center in northeastern Arizona that most people probably haven't heard of. So when I started in dentistry, I really didn't know anything about it. I was lucky enough to be hired by a speaker and consultant and learn some things along the way. And a couple of years later, started my business on the side with her encouragement. And so that's like how I got started. And what we really do is support speakers who most of them are consultants, because speaking is really a marketing activity to help you get consulting clients.
Ah, I
That's a
love
good
the
little thing there.
connection. Ah, so you actually are helping these dental speakers become profitable.
That's the idea.
I love it. I love it. I always try to do a little bit of what I call bookkeeping because, well, that's where I cut my teeth in life, right? So here's the bookkeeping. Do you have a website? How can we reach you? Can you give us that information, please?
Sure. I actually have a couple of websites, but the mothership would be the Dental Speaker, thedentalspeaker.com. And from there, you can launch off to, we have Dental Speakers Bureau, which is a term that speakers and meeting planners are familiar with. It's a way to reach, each other. And then we have Dental Speaker Institute as well. And they're all .coms.
All.com. Bureau, Bureau.
Bureau. Hey, good job. Gold star.
I always all the tricky ones you have to spell out for folks, and it's like, oh, trying to remember these things sometimes can be challenging. So awesome. So they can reach you in those different locations. How long have you been in business? You said about 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah, a little over 20 years. It was 20 years in June. So just a little over, well, sorry, in dentistry and working with speakers and consultants that long, but in business about 16 years now.
Oh, okay.
I have to go back and do the math. So a couple of years into my work in a specific speaker consultant's office, I started my own side gig, which has grown tremendously. I'm super lucky in that I met the right people along the way that help me learn.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And 16 years, 20 years, that's nothing to sneeze at. They
Thank
say most businesses fail within the first 5 years. So
Yeah.
you've tripled that. You've lapped that, as they say. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So along the way, there's no doubt that you've got a lot of gems that you share with other owners. And I'm hoping that we can steal some for ourselves
Oh my
today.
gosh, sure.
So what makes you an expert in your field beyond your duration of time?
Well, and I am a business advisor, so I'm happy to share those gems and helping speakers and consultants grow their businesses, not just grow but scale their businesses. So, what makes me an expert? Well, I've been in the trenches, as they say. So as I started in this industry, I was working with Catherine Itel Belt. Some of your listeners may know her. Her brand is Lioness Principle. So I find that sometimes her brand precedes her. And so Catherine hired me to help her attract more dentists to work with, to do some consulting, but also to get more speaking engagements. And Marc, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea. I mean, that's not exaggeration. And so we had to learn. we learned, and I'd be happy to share with you some of the ways that we learn, and the ways that your listeners can learn. And I think for most entrepreneurs, whether you're in dentistry or not, I really believe this. For most entrepreneurs, speaking is such a great way to get clients. You know, even like my hairdresser, the gal who's been cutting my hair for 18 years, we talk about this, and like it's smart for her to go to her conventions and her industries and be seen as a leader and as a thought leader. So your question originally was what, you know, what gives me the right to
makes you
share
the
here?
expert? Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
the years of, you know, figuring it out and finding success. And like, we've worked with in my business, I worked with over 500 speakers, largely in helping them with their marketing materials, helping them with websites, do a lot of coaching of different coaching programs to help them understand how to get those all important clients and
Love it.
beyond that.
Love it. You said something. I'm going to just pivot a little bit if you don't mind. You said I
Sure.
help businesses not only grow, but scale.
Yeah.
Typically, when we think grow, we think scale. So, what do you look at? How do you consider that different?
I think we can grow and grow and grow, and our expenses can grow along with it. What I don't want is for my clients to get to 3, 5, 7 million a year. And incrementally, as they grow, they have less and less time, less and less life, and more expense. And then they become, what we can do as entrepreneurs really easily is create a job for ourselves. But as an entrepreneur, I want my clients that I work with, I want them to be able to truly grow a business that allows them to be able to work as much as they want. And we see examples of this everywhere, of those who have figured out the formula, or who have, here's the $1 million tip. Work with a coach, work with someone like Marc, right? Work with a coach, because the coach knows the path and they can help you create a plan, taking into advisement, like what is your niche and what is your area of expertise. They can help you craft that into a strategic action plan and help you see the systems and strategies. I really believe that outside eyes on our business are essential. I have 5 coaches I'm working with right now, 5 at one time,
Wow.
and I am a coach. I think all coaches need coaches. I think all business owners really benefit from having someone who is ahead in some area of them, right? That's someone who can reach back and help pull you along and help make that learning curve shorter. I'm also a talker too, Marc. So you can jump in at any time and tell me, get back on the question, which I don't remember
All
now.
good. This is where I'm gonna pause you though, since you might have lost your thought, because I'm gonna just clarify something real quick. So you're looking at me and I'm looking at you, and you're probably looking at my big eyes going down and up, down and up. I'm going to tell you it's a difference. I've been doing this for a few podcasts now. There's some podcasts where my eyes are looking at the person the entire time. And that means that they're dropping some knowledge, but it's not so memorable that I need to write it down. But when you start dropping knowledge, and it's amazing, I'm sitting here for those who are watching with a pad. And, and I'm and so the eyes are just darting right in these amazing things. Like you just said something that I've never heard before, which makes so much sense. You said you are a firm believer that you have to have outside eyes on your business. You said it's essential. I love that, because, well, I know that because I'm a business coach, right? Now, but not every business owner realizes the value of that, right? Not every practice owner realizes the value. So you're dropping these gems, and I'm just writing. And I love when you go on, because
Thank you.
We extracted the gems from what's being said. That was awesome. You also said one other thing, if you don't mind. You said, well, I kind of, I Marcusized it. I changed it a little bit. Don't turn your business into your job.
Right.
Growing and scaling, right? You're
It
so
is.
right.
It
We
is.
start our business, and the next thing you know, we're gone with working. It's not the way it's supposed to be.
And for, entrepreneurialism, this is something I think a lot about. There's a lot of people that have the dream, but they don't have the skill right out of the gate, right? Like they need to have some knowledge. They have an expertise. They can carve out a niche. They may even have some notoriety in their field around being someone who's like in dentistry, it would be, someone who's an expert clinician in a certain area. That wouldn't necessarily make them a great coach or speaker, because like we take it back to my area. So the people that
Right.
I work with are to help them to be able to grow a consultancy, to be seen as thought leaders and influencers. So because you have a great ability to cut hair, like the gal I was mentioning earlier, doesn't necessarily mean you be a great coach on it. And so what I have found, again, another $1 million tip that wasn't shared with me originally was not just working with a coach, but getting education. There's so many workshops and curriculums that you can find that will help you as you decide what are you wanting to create as your business. I mean, as you carve out that niche, guaranteed there's people who have valuable information to share with you, either inside your industry or even better, outside. We look the inside dentistry, like who are all the speaker development coaches inside, and we have a handful. Outside there are so many more, and I think we tend to think that, oh, we're in our in accounting land, we know things are a certain way, right, or whatever our
Yes.
industry is. But when we reach out and look outside, what are they doing over here in in healthcare for you, things that would be associated but not clear cut borders on that. I think we can learn so much from the way they market in those industries, the way they grow their businesses in those industries. So as you can tell, I love learning. I think it is so essential as entrepreneurs to not believe that we know it all.
Oh my goodness, that's the number one uh,
Yeah.
cause for disaster, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because and I want to talk about that a little bit. When you transition from working for someone to working for yourself, if you're really honest, that's when you realize how much you don't know. you
For
know,
sure.
because doing a task and getting good at a task, if you're a medical professional, getting good at your area of practice has nothing to do with running a business, right?
Yes.
So if you say I'm going to take this leap to entrepreneurship, be prepared to start at the bottom rung and work your way up on that level as you continue to perfect your craft, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes. Yes. And I think that there are stages too. I think that what I've seen are in our field in dentistry, there are dental professionals who have gained extensive knowledge in something, either the business side or clinical side, and they can then grow a business as a coach, as an influencer to a certain level. But what I've seen is there's like a limiter. It's really hard for them to get past like 200, 300,000 a year without starting to add team. I mean, like even to get to 250 a year without having somebody to help you administratively is, to me, a miracle. But especially if somebody's traveling a lot. I mean, like we need help to be able to create that business. And so I think it incrementally, as you want to earn more in that business and really truly make it a business, you're going to hire more and more of the right people. And there are tools and resources available. There's all different kinds of assessments, like Kolbe is one that comes to mind, KOLBE, that helps you determine. And I use that with my team to help determine if someone's a right fit before I bring them on. I'm looking for a skill set of how do they think, more than like how are they super exceptional at Photoshop. It's more of, are they super detail oriented, right? Like we get into
Right,
and
right.
that's where those coaches and those courses, and there's so books. There's amazing books. Yeah. Anyway, I get excited about this topic
That's,
because I'd
I
love,
hear
I'd love to
you.
see people achieve, and to be able to get the knowledge they need to be able to get to that next level and to be
Yeah.
able to have their life as well.
Yeah, yeah. We started this segment or this digression with growing but scaling, and you're hitting it on the head, right? Yeah, you can
Yeah.
grow, you can make more money and burn yourself out, but you have to at certain points look out and say, I need a team member. right?
Yeah.
And that's a talent right there. And sometimes we don't know until we have a coach saying, "Hey, you need a team member." And the first question I always get is, "But I can't afford that because we've never had payroll." Well, we'll work on that, right? And then the second nuance is, okay, how do I get the right team member, right?
Right.
And so then you've got like what you just mentioned, the Colby, right? How would I ever know about that unless I had a coach who could tell me something? Google won't find it for me just cause.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's
learned about
definitely
Colby a couple of years ago from an organization and implementation coach I hired, right? Who I met through. So it's like it's this little tangled web we weave that helps us get the information we need. I'd like to jump back on what you just said about the main objection that I will hear too from clients is like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. And I think that too often we think about hiring someone to help us as an expense. And
mm,
what I really encourage my clients to understand is they're a resource. They're someone, when you get the right person, they are just as motivated as you are to meet goals. And as we look at our numbers in our business, we also need to see that within a short period of time, a couple months, we go from training mode to where we've got these people they know what they're doing and they're excited. And you see that this is the scaling, right? You're able to bring in more than that expense of having them on. I was going to say on the payroll. I'm a big believer in contractors starting there first. So that's not actually the right thing to say, but by having them on the team, yes, there is some fee associated with that, but and I want to hear why you laughed about that in just a second. There is some fee associated with that, but the idea would be that when you hire for the right positions first with the right person in it, you're going to be bringing in more to the business to where we start that scaling.
yeah, yeah, I love
Why
it.
did
No,
you laugh at that? Are you a believer in that or no?
I laughed at that because no one who starts out wants employees. They want all contractors. And like the IRS has such rules around it. So I laugh because most people say, no, of course we want the contractor. And yeah, contractors are valuable. Employees are valuable too. It's just knowing how to do it. But I think the
Right.
key, which is what you said, was the right person,
Yeah.
right? No matter what position you end up in, if you make the right person, no matter which way you structure the contract, you'll come out ahead with the right person.
Right.
Hiring does cost you money, but it's all designed to make you money. It's like, a carpenter doesn't say, I'm not paying for that hammer. No, that's my money maker. Right?
Right.
Right? When you get the right
Right.
person, that's
Great
going to
analogy.
be your money maker. It's going to grow and scale. I'm going to be stuck on growing and scaling
Yeah.
until the cows come home
It's
now.
important, right? Because a lot of times they'll say, well, can help you grow your business. Well, what we really want, yes, it's growth, but what we really want is the scaling.
Absolutely. That's more important than the growth.
Yeah.
You think about it, right? Because scaling is what allows you to enjoy the business, not just.
And to have more to show for it at the end of all that work. I
I love it.
heard a quote years ago, and it was attributed to Anonymous, right? But it was something like I can't say it, entrepreneurs will do what few people will do to be able to live the life that few people will be able to live. And I've held on to that in my mind. I love that because you can work yourself so hard as you get started, 70, 80-hour weeks. You can do that. You can do that for 10, 20 years.
Hmm.
I don't want to do that. Maybe, you're welcome, each of us, to do what we want, but the whole idea would be true entrepreneurialism and to really truly have a business would be to get to that place where you can work less and less. And you have, a great book is Making Money is Killing Your Business by Chuck Blakeman. And I'm looking because I've got it right here. Can I just grab it? I'm just going to come
Of
out of my
course. I'm writing as you're talking, so
and that term outside eyes on your business, I heard it originally from Chuck. Making Money is Killing Your Business. This was a number
nice.
one business book of the year years ago. Chuck is an amazing entrepreneur. He's built and sold 7 businesses, I think it is. And now in his last one, the most recent one, the one that I think maybe he's landing on, they help other entrepreneurs grow. But why was I going to tell you there was something in there? We were just talking about, I got excited about
Entrepreneur being willing to do
what
what he needs to do
oh, I
so
know,
that.
thank you, he likens our business to having a child, that we want to grow out of diapers. So if we think of our business as, we don't want our business to always be dependent on us. Like my kids are now in their 30s, and I can enjoy them as adults. We were just talking about that. My son's getting married. My daughter and the son are both out in the world doing their own thing. Like I want my business to grow up. I want my business to grow up to where I can enjoy it like my adult children. I just love that analogy. I've leaned on that for years now.
I love that. I
Get it out of
want my
diapers.
business to grow up.
Grow it up.
And it's so funny because ultimately that's what we'd all want. We might not even realize it. I didn't realize it till you just told me. I need my business to grow up. Next level, come on.
Right?
I don't want to have to keep holding your hand.
And how do we do that?
Yeah.
Right? It's the systems, the strategies.
That's it.
We learn along the way. Yeah.
And allowing your business to run without you pushing it is powerful. So I love it.
I think too, don't you think too, a lot of times entrepreneurs, they kind of take their identity from the fact they have a business, but they truly don't, they have more of a job they created. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean in any way I've been there for lots of years myself, but it occurred to because it was like, I don't know if I want, you have to this is not the right path for everyone. And for me, for a while, it was like, no, I'm good with where I'm at. I like the money I'm making. I like that I can call my shots and I can, but for those who feel like they want more, this is, I believe, essential to be able to put the systems and strategies into place to be able to get there.
Absolutely. And you hit it right on the head. And those systems and those strategies and will allow you to get exactly what you want. But it is a process. And it takes time. So if you're not there yet, it's okay. To me, the joy is also in the journey, right? The joy is in learning what you need to learn to grow. As long as you can stay chunky and eat, and I managed to stay chunky, it's okay that things don't work out exactly how it works out, and I'm learning and I'm growing. That's the joyful part of it, right? So I like that.
And
go ahead. I was about to go off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was going to go somewhere that I'm not going to go because I'll take us down a rabbit hole.
I'm like, I can see the rabbit hole. I'm often in that hole. I'm often in the rabbit hole.
Not going down there.
It's funny though, because what you're demonstrating is passion for what you do.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I'm the same way when I meet with a client. Sometimes I'll meet with a client for one thing, and 45 minutes later, I'm just yammering, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. But when you love what you do, and that's part of business success to me, right? That's part of what makes why I feel that I'm successful in my business, because I'm getting to do what I love to do. Certain things we have to do as owners, but if we're doing more of what we love, then we're in a pretty good spot. That's how I feel. Let me ask you, how do you define success in your business?
Joy. And that's probably not the right, no, I don't mean to say right, but like the common answer. But for me, success is, am I happy? Do I feel joy? I could have joy and work a 70-hour week if I'm working on the right project. I could have joy in my happy place, which is Oahu, which someday I will own property in Oahu. That's like on our short term. I'm like, Oahu is heaven. And those who are listening, who are Hawaii fans like myself, we all have a favorite island. I get that Oahu's most commercial, but like, to me, success is either sitting on a beach eating nachos, my favorite little restaurant, watching the sunset in Oahu, like being able to have a life that gives me that, or a life where I'm at work, but it doesn't feel like work because it's still joyful and peaceful. That's what success is to me.
I like it. I find that I don't know how many episodes we've done now, over 30. Everybody has a different answer.
Yeah.
I think of the 30 and change, only one said rich. And I was shocked. Most people have a different answer. And I like that one, joy, because really, when you're happy, when you're joyful, that means you've got something, right? That's what we're pursuing, People pursue riches hoping that it'll make them joyful. But if you pursue joy, now you've got something. That's interesting. A friend of mine told me years ago I was going through a tough time in life in general. And he said, Mark, pursue joy.
Yeah.
That's all he said. And I never forgot that. It's been 15 years. And every once in a while, I think about when he said that. He's sitting on my couch. He said, pursue joy.
It's a mindset, right? It's like every day, no matter what's happening around me. And I even have reminders on my phone. I have alarms that go off throughout the day that remind me of a little mantra that I want to reiterate to myself around mindset, around that everything that I'm seeking is coming to me with grace and ease and joy, is what I remind myself. And so it goes off every 4 hours. And it's wonderful. Been like, it's such a small little thing, right? Like, I don't know if anybody else out there sets alarms like that on their phone, but it's such a small little thing. But I'll find myself on the way to the vet, or I'm at this, like whatever I'm doing, and then it just reminds me. It pulls me back into what I want out of my life is joy. That's why you see cat towers here, Mark. Because in my life, we're in cat rescue here in the Phoenix area, and that's something that brings me joy. And being an entrepreneur, we get to create the life we want. We get to create our business the way we want.
Yes.
And that works for me. And that's what I want for each of your listeners, for each of my clients, to be able to carve out that out of the box. What is it for Mark? What is it for you that brings you the greatest joy?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I think about that a lot. Like what brings me joy, and am I there?
Right.
And if you have a practice or a business and you're not joyful, then make some adjustments, because that's what it should be all about. So I love that. I love it. Let me ask you. Well, I mean, this almost isn't rhetorical then. So, do you consider yourself successful?
I think I have been successful ever since I just made the decision to be a business owner. I really believe that, because that was a decision.
Okay, I like that.
And I think especially when you fly without a parachute, right? When you let go of the job, and I encourage most people not to do that until their business is at a place where they know they can let go of that job that had sustained them. That's a grow up moment, right? It's an adult moment. It's a, hey, the crap just got real moment. I'm letting go of this job. Can I do this? And so whether, no matter the money, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have money goals. Like most business owners, I have goals around what I'd like to bring and what I want to be able to do in the world as a result of that. But for me, I felt successful just being able to get my little side gig to the point. Oh, and I'm just noticing, I'm totally like going off, but I'm just noticing my husband's blue tape has fallen off the wall here. Process of remodeling, and that was a spackle spot. So for
I didn't even know that you done called it out yourself, because I didn't even notice that.
I can turn it. Well, I can't go that much, but I remember what I was saying now, but I'm like, oh yeah, I got to pull that tape down.
Oh my goodness.
I read a little bit too much shiny objects, but I don't even remember what I was saying. I was probably done.
Now you had me laugh. Yeah, you were talking about that success and where you are as far taking that leap. You made one interesting point in that I'm going to just try to extrapolate, extract. That's the right word, extract. You said, I wouldn't recommend you taking the leap to start your own business or practice before you are financially ready. You made something like that. Don't leave your job before. Can you go a little bit deeper on that?
Sure. I see people get fed up with this, with what is like, so maybe, or maybe they have in dentistry, we have physical ailments with our necks or with our bodies that come about. And so someone will decide, hey, I'm going to speak and consult. And so I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to go start speaking and consulting. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. You don't just flip a switch and all the business comes in. Like, I don't know who that would work for. Maybe some people get lucky, but I would think most entrepreneurs, there's a ramping up process. And so what I always encourage people to do is ramp down clinically while you're ramping up here, because there are collateral materials you need to get into place. Like, you need a website, you need like marketing materials, you need to be able to have a certain persona that you can project to the industry that makes it feel like you've been doing this a long time. And again, I'm assuming these people are already experts, right? So we know they know how to handle a dental implant before they go teaching it. So, but in the meantime, they're going to be learning more about being a consultant and more about being a speaker while they're getting ramped up. And so there's an investment up front, but financially as well as in time. Like my own business, I didn't just come right out of the gate and let go of my day job. Oh, it was probably 5 years. I mean, that I was getting busier and busier and busier and busier and busier, to the point where I was working like all the time. And not having enough. I mean, literally like those 70, 80-hour weeks we were talking about, to the point where I'm like, okay, my business is busy enough to sustain me. And the job I was in, there had been a different focus. And so here's another one of my, what I think would be $1 million tip is when I listen to my gut, right? Like as business owners, we have to listen to our guts. We have to, we logically think things through, but then we have to run it through that filter of like, how does that feel? So people with religious beliefs or different, we all have different ways of looking at that, but there is a thing, right? Would you agree that happens in our gut where sometimes we're like, I don't think I should go into that abandoned cave. Like something feels off. And I think it's the same thing when we run decisions through our gut around our business. You'll know when it's the right time, but I want you to also logically be able to look at your numbers and say, okay, I have a history here. And if I'm able to now ramp down my practice enough to where maybe 1 day a week is what I've been doing, and I think I'm just going to really, that's what I would suggest you do, is go slow. Every situation is different. Sorry for the long answer.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I'm thinking, as you mentioned that, listen to your gut. I think the gut and the mind must work together. And then there's a certain point when one is going to have to take precedence, and it's typically the gut. There's been many times when I've looked at things logically and said, okay, that makes a lot of sense, but just something in my gut that's like, boy, if you do that, and I'm like, no, it works on pen and paper. My pros, exceeded my cons, and then I go into it. I go, boy, I don't understand how the gut knows, but the gut seems to know certain things that the brain just doesn't calculate. It's really true. It's
well,
really
if you think
true.
about it, what do people say? They don't say, oh, I knew I was supposed to do that, and it didn't work out. I mean, maybe, but I think what I hear most is people go, oh, I knew there was something that kind of nagged at me, and I wish I would have.
I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my but that's it. That's that gut. So yeah, trusting the gut is really important. I think you want to have a good balance of the two, right? You can't go all gut. If you go all gut, for me, I'd eat cheesecake every day. That won't work. But
even that, your gut would tell you, right? I mean, I know we're having fun with that example, but even that, our guts would say, this probably isn't the most nutritious.
Yeah, my gut might say it like after I've eaten half of it, though. Then I would go, I was like, I don't think you should have done that. Yeah, I've got a problem. I've been working on it. My mind is telling me I need to work on that one.
But well, it's hard for me because I went plant-based solely. And so now it's hard for me. Like I haven't found a vegan cheesecake. And that is my one dessert that I just love.
Really? Actually, I just went out in the storm
Made
last
the
night.
choice easy for me though.
Yeah, I need to get something to cut that. I'm doing better though. Anyway, so let me ask you this question. I think this is one that's really powerful for business owners to hear, especially from people who have found success in their own business. What's one mistake that you've made in your journey that you can share and tell us how you learned from?
Oh man, there's so many. But let me tell you the one that, I'm a marketer at heart. And I believe that all marketers need to be all business owners need to be marketers first and foremost. I really believe that. Pardon me. So you may be, again, my hairdresser. I've never shared this example before. Let's see where this goes. I'm making this up on the fly. But if we think about her, wanting to grow her business, she's not, maybe she would get some by word of mouth, but she needs to be continually marketing. And so my big, I would say one of the big errors that I've made early on was riding that roller coaster of your market, and then you got a lot of work to do. So then you work your business in your business, right? Not on your business. And then the work fades off, and then you need clients again. So there's this idea of continually marketing. And there are so many different ways to market. My favorite, I actually have a 2-day workshop called Transform Your Business, where I teach this strategy. This is at the core, along with the strategic action plan. The reality is you have to be constantly out in front of those people that would be a good fit, like an ideal fit or a good fit client. And so there's a lot of different ways to do that. The one that I learned from my business strategist, and then I've learned I've seen other coaches teach something similar. So this may not be rocket science or something that we haven't heard before, but my bet is most people are not doing it. In fact, I would bet you $1,000 that most of your listeners are not doing this, because it's human nature. And that is that every single day, that's the hard part. Every single day, reach out to past clients, current leads, past leads, and your current clients. So like pick 3 to 5 every day. This is bona fide, will bring you clients. And my big error has been in the dropping that. But you know what I'm going to tell you? I floss my teeth, I brush my teeth, I shower every day. Why could I not get in the habit? I sleep every day. Why could we not get in the habit of every day reaching out to someone who's shown interest in your business or that you've worked with before? And then of course the strategy is deeper than that, but that's been an error for me, would be the dropping the ball. And then your pipeline, you don't have that many proposals out there, you haven't talked to that many people, so then your pipeline is sparse and then you start seeing the dip. So what this strategy does, I call it bountiful harvest, because in my brand, everything goes back to, I'm a farm girl. It's like, I take it back to the garden analogy. So this with bountiful harvest, the idea is you constantly are bearing fruit. You're constantly getting food to eat for your business.
I like it. I like it.
It works. And then you have a whole different problem, Mark, because then you have so much business coming in.
Yeah. How do you handle that? Right.
You got to go higher.
You've given us $1 million gems. That might be a $3 million one.
Yeah, that one's real. And
that's powerful.
Don't do it. Most people don't.
Yeah. I don't. I don't. And there are times when I have the time and it's like, no, I used to be a computer programmer. I'd rather get onto my code and start coding, tweaking what I already have. I love coding, and I'd rather do that any day than marketing. But
I am a programmer too.
Oh, get out.
No kidding.
Oh, all right.
Like before Windows.
Really? Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
That was a while ago.
No, yeah. I used to code DOS and all of that too, and then learn a little bit of that COBOL back in the day. But I actually made a pretty decent living coding Microsoft Office products, believe it or not.
Isn't that something? I mean, that was back when artificial intelligence was starting, right? And now look at it. Now look at Siri on our phones.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, so I'm digressing. The statement that I'm going to encapsulate. I wrote this one in all caps, so I'm going to prove it. If you can see that there. All businesses owners need to be marketers. Yeah. First and foremost. It's so important. And that is, I'm glad you mentioned that. You didn't mention it as what made you successful, but as a mistake you made. But that is a fundamental challenge for business owners, right? What do you do? This is what one of my coaches taught me. What do you do? Oh, I do accounting. No, you sell accounting services. If you make that switch, your business will change, right? What do you do?
The difference.
I'm a dentist. No, you sell dental services. If you make that switch, right? Yeah. And I love that. So if we can learn that key element, be a marketer first and foremost, boy, our business will change. And you mentioned that you have trainings on that. So that's
I do.
powerful.
I offer multiple workshops, and the one I'm talking about is Transform My Business. It's a 2-day. It's really for speakers and coaches. You don't have to be in dental. Primarily, I've worked with the speakers in dental, but it's really for people who are speakers and people who are wanting to attract more consulting clients and who want to grow their business and scale it. So this is really more on the grow. This is more the grow. My level 2 is more the scale, about the systems, but this one's more about, it's a lot about marketing and how to get in front of meeting planners and how to work with sponsors and, all that kind of stuff. Sounds like a long time, 2 days on Zoom, but I'm telling you, it flies by so fast because it's really a workshop where you work on your own business and you walk away with your own strategic plan. So it's really a work session in a lot of ways too. Yeah.
That's awesome. 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 So let me ask you this next question. If you don't mind, I'm going to go a little different direction. And you've talked about it a lot when we talked about like the mindset. But what would you say is the single most important quality needed to be a successful business owner?
Wow, single most important quality. I think there are multiple important. I'm having a hard time with single most. I I think it's about passion
Okay.
for creating that business, right? So just a minute ago, you were talking about the difference between, I'm a neurosurgeon or I am a marketer who markets
Right.
neurosurgery,
Right.
services or whatever, however you'd put that. And that's where the mindset comes in. And there's not a right or wrong answer here, but if we are talking about someone who wants to grow a business that they're going to scale, where they want to be able to earn more than $1 million a year, and they want to be able to take as much time off as they want and be able to grow something that would be considered by most people super successful, I think the quality there needs to be someone who, it's like a dog with a bone.
Hmm.
Like that whole idea of no, it's something that's going to make you jump out of bed in the morning because you want to make. And if I think you have to be in competition with yourself. Like, I don't believe there is competition for what we do. I'm in an industry where really there's not much competition for what we do. Like we're so niched and have
Yeah.
gone so broad now. But even if there were, I don't believe in competition. I believe that the only person I'm competing with is myself, and I set a goal. And I think I don't know, I'm not encapsulating it. Passion is the word I'm coming up with, but like goal driven. Is passionate the right word? It's like you
I like that
want
word.
that. You want it so bad that you're willing to, or you want it so much that you're willing to let go of other things to achieve it.
I like it. I like it. Passionate. I like that one. I'm laughing because when you said like a dog with a bone, so I have a dog, my Nina. I love Nina. And this was years ago. She picked up a bone on the street. I never forget. It was a piece of a pork chop. And I told her to drop it, and she would not drop that bone. And I
Yeah.
grabbed it. I grabbed it because I didn't want her to swallow it. And I'm pulling, and she's holding. And she's not even a big dog, 30, 40 pounds. She's holding, and I'm pulling. This dog wouldn't let go. I couldn't get that thing out. And when I finally did, her tooth imprint was in my finger. A dog with a bone. And she looked
Yeah.
at me, and I looked at her, and it's for your own good, girl. But
That's right. But she had a different vision than you, didn't she?
she
Like,
had a
you
different
had a
vision.
vision of what was going to happen. And I think that's a big piece of the passion piece, is we have to think about, how does your business, Mark, like, what does that buy you in your life? What does that bring you in your life? I think that that's the essential first strategy that most people don't really get their heads around, is like writing out a life vision and then moving into that strategic action
I
plan.
like it.
But here's why that matters, and why it ties into that question is passions. We've got a lot of passions, and we can be passionate about one thing today and something else the next day. But when we can connect our business and that strategic action plan to that vision for our life, and we can see that they do connect, and that's how we get there. That's how I get my property in Oahu. I mean, like, seriously,
Yes,
that's our
yes,
goal. Like, when I
yes,
look at my
yes.
my phone, I've got a Wahoo. Like when I
Yes.
pop in here in the background, I've got a Wahoo.
All right. All
Like,
right.
so
Yes.
that's passion. And that's what I think makes the difference between those who succeed and don't. Honestly, I don't think it's about the talent you're born with or the skills you have. I really think it's about, can you connect that? Can you connect that vision? And are you someone who is willing to do what others won't, to be able to live the life that many won't be able to live?
You hit it. You hit it. I
I
love it.
just
I
full
mean,
circled that and I didn't intend to.
you, but see, that's what genius does.
That's
That's
what
what
rambling does.
you know, you're going and then you go, oh, this is where, oh, this is a
I
nice
didn't.
way to put a bow on it. And I love it. I love it. And you talk about that, writing out a life vision. Why did you start your business? Why did you start your practice? It wasn't just to make money, because you can make money a dozen different ways. There's
Right.
something there that if you unlock it, that becomes your passionate piece, and then you can work toward it. And you're right, it's not the most talented, the most gifted, the most intelligent even. It's the person who's passionate enough to do what it takes to get where he needs to be.
Committed.
I love it. I love it. All right, all right. I'm going to ask you one final question,
You bet.
if you don't mind. And this is just an interesting question that I have asked myself in the past. If you could go right back before you started your business, what advice would you give yourself?
The one thing that's like screaming in my head is, you can do this. Right? Because that's the question everyone has, is like, what if I fail? What if this isn't viable? What if, what if? I would go back and I'd probably grab myself by my shoulders and look and right in my eyes. And I would say, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. I think it's that reminding ourselves sometimes, like my husband has little notes he's put over here. Like he'll tell me everything is going to be okay. Your conference is going to be a success. You're doing great. He puts all these little notes like your mom puts in your lunchbox at school. I think that for me, I just that really, because I don't lack the passion. It's more of like we start self-doubting. So the advice for me would have been just you've got something that's viable. So for those who are on this path, like if you think back, do you know you have something that's viable? Do you see evidence of this in the world, that there are others who, whatever? Do you know in your gut that this could go and work? Then this is probably not like the best ever answer you had, but for me, that's 1000% what I would say is like, you got this, you can do this, you can do this.
I love it. You know what? I love it because when we start out, there's this level of, will it work? There's always this fear, there's this failure. And if someone can grab you by your shoulders right before and say, hey, you can do this, you will do this, you will be successful. Boy, it allows you to go, it allows you to go full bore. So I love that answer. And what's beautiful is when I ask that question of my guests, we've had at least some level of success. So we are able to look back and say, I did do it. I did do it. And so for those who are starting out, just know that a year from now, once you start, you're going to look back and say, I did it. Yeah. So you can do it, right? If you have the passion, right? If you stick to the principles that will help you grow. If you put marketing first and foremost, because those are the things you have to do.
Can I add one more thing that I think really is important? As long as we're posing it this way, I think it's also super important to have a community that is supportive of you. So look to your colleagues, get mentors, so there's one thing to like, no, I can do this, I know this, but I just cannot emphasize enough how important it is to get those outside eyes, people who have walked the path, people who can shine a light on the path and say, okay, here's what you want to do next. It will save you so much time and effort. Even if you've been doing this for 10 years, 20 years. I work with speakers who have been in our business, who are like top of our field, who have been 30 to 40 years, that will come to look for that there's something new they want to create, that they'll still seek outside eyes on their business. They'll still seek advice. it's just like we go to therapists. I think therapy is like, it's so smart to go get therapy, right? Like to get help for what's going on in our life. We get help for what's going on in our business. I think it's all super smart. So I didn't expect to end on therapy, but hey, there it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's all medical related, you know. It's all no, but it's so true.
smart?
It's so true. It's so true. And coaches need coaches. And I tell you, without that, I mean, I remember when I started out years ago, I was like, I'm not paying money for a coach. I'll figure it out. And the first coach I got, I was like, man, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner.
You
Right?
start
It's one of the
realizing
best
it's an
investments you can
investment.
make.
Yeah.
It's an investment. Yeah. And when you, with that investment, you really start to flourish. So that's awesome. Well, Miss Emerson, thank you so much. I
This
really
is fun.
appreciate this. This was a lot of fun. I thank you for your. I got about, let's see, one, two, three, four, about $7 million worth of gems. I thank you for that. I know our listeners will thank you for that, and we look forward to watching you on your journey to success.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was a lot of fun, Mark.
Thank you.